All right, let's dive into a topic that's on every leader's radar right now, AI governance. And look, this isn't just a tech issue. It's about strategy, it's about risk, and most importantly, it's about building trust.
So here's the big question you gotta ask yourself, because right now your AI is one of those two things. It holds all this incredible promise, right? But without the proper guardrails, that promise can turn into a massive liability, and fast. The gap between those two futures, well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Just look at this. It really lays out the two paths you can take. On one side, you've got a total mess, liability, chaos, pure risk. And on the other, well, that's where you want to be, creating value, building trust, and driving strategy. The thing that gets you from one side to the other is a really solid governance framework. So let's see what that actually looks like.
Okay, so before we can fix the problem, we really need to understand it, right? Think of an AI system with no governance, like an orchestra with no conductor. You've got all these amazing instruments all playing at once, but the result is just noise. A total mess. Let's look at what's making all that racket.
First up, you've got what's called model risk. And this is a big one. An AI model might be perfect on the day you launch it, but the world changes, new data comes in, and its performance can start to, well, drift. Imagine your sales forecast model. It's humming along perfectly, and then, without you even noticing, it starts going off the rails. Suddenly, your best tool is giving you garbage advice.
And then there's the privacy and IP risk. This stuff is huge. AI models need a ton of data to work. But what happens if they're trained on your sensitive customer info, or maybe your company's secret sauce? A single slip-up, one little breach, and you could be looking at some seriously massive legal and financial headaches.
Now this one hits right at the heart of your relationship with the public. Bias and safety. If you don't actively hunt down and root out bias, your AI can end up making existing unfairness even worse. And that's not just bad, it's a brand killer. You'll have regulators knocking on your door in no time.
So when you pull back and look at the whole picture, it's pretty clear, right? The threat is massive. We're not just talking about one little thing that could go wrong. It's everything from model drift and data breaches to, bias, unsafe results, and regulators breathing down your neck. So how in the world do you get that unruly orchestra to play beautiful music? Simple. You give them a score, a plan, a single sheet of music everyone follows. And in the world of AI, that score is your governance framework. It's what brings order to all that chaos.
Look, a solid governance framework really comes down to three key parts. First, you set the policies. These are the ground rules, plain and simple. How you build it, how you test it, how you roll it out. Second, you implement controls. This is where you actually bake your ethics and compliance right into the system. And third, and this is so important, you keep a detailed audit trail. You have to be able to go back and see why an AI did what it did. That transparency is everything.
Okay, so having a framework is great, but how do you know it's working? How do you prove it? Well, that's where this idea of assurance comes in. It's not enough to just say your AI is trustworthy. You've got to be able to back it up with evidence. And here's why that's so crucial. It gets you ready for the regulators. Let's be real. Governments all over the world are putting AI under a microscope. Being prepared isn't a nice to have anymore. It's absolutely essential. Good assurance means you're ready for whatever rules come down the pike.
And when you look at what regulators care about, it almost always boils down to these three things. First, explainability. Can you actually explain why your model made a certain decision? Second, fairness. Did you check for bias? And what'd you do about it? And finally, accountability. Who's in charge here? Who's responsible? Your governance plan has to have rock-solid answers for every single one of those questions. So when you pull all of this together, the risk management, that solid governance framework, the proof that it's all working, you don't just have a safe AI program, you have a symphony. You've created something truly strategic that builds trust with every single interaction.
It really comes down to this simple idea. This says it all, really. In essence, AI governance and assurance is about orchestrating trust. It's not about checking boxes. It's an active, creative process of making all the parts work together to create that one thing you just can't buy, trust.
And look at the transformation that happens. It's incredible. Every single risk you had, it gets flipped into an asset. Instead of model failures, you get reliable results. Instead of facing fines and liability, you earn stakeholder trust. And instead of worrying about your reputation taking a hit, you become known as an ethical leader in your space. That's a powerful shift.
And that right there, that's the bottom line for any executive. This whole thing isn't just about playing defense and avoiding problems. It's about playing offense. It's about turning a potential ticking time bomb into one of your most powerful strategic assets.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. Your AI is already out there, playing its symphony of data. The only question left is, are you actually up there on the podium conducting it? Or are you just sitting in the audience, closing your eyes and hoping it all works out?